Institute. I have to stick that in. Thank you. In logistics. All right, thank you. Without any further ado, I'm going to invite our minister to come and address us. Thank you, Minister Hilton. Put our hands together as we welcome the minister.
This one lighting is lighting a bit poor. I don't know if it's that. Yeah. Okay, man. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Pinnock, chairman of this afternoon's event, and my light holder for this particular statement. I want to, there's a long list here. Um, I want to, I'm tempted to do like so many others before me who have said all protocol observed, but I'll recognize Mrs. Jacinth Biles, Executive Director of National Security Policy Coordination Unit, Dr. Professor Anthony Clayton from the University of the West Indies. There are names here listed that I have not seen around the place, but at this point I'll say all protocol observed. It really is my pleasure to join you for this National Security Seminar. An event of this nature which focuses on the logistics hub and the related security implications is extremely timely and welcomed. Let me therefore commend the team at the National Security Coordination Unit for making this event the success that I think it already is. Just for conceiving it and implementing it, I think is a successful effort, but I gather the participation has been good and vibrant. I've been duly advised that on Tuesday, members of this group received a guided tour of the logistic facilities across Kingston, while today's seminar highlights the implications of the logistics hub on national security and the plans we must put in place to meet these challenges. I can imagine that you are itching to know more about the business environment in which Jamaica's logistic hub will thrive. I think as Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, I can assist you in that effort. Ladies and gentlemen, the government of Jamaica is focused on creating a business environment that can deliver the investments needed to drive sustained growth and the job creation we need for our country. The principal approach is, therefore, to ensure that the business environment will facilitate and unlock private investment, both domestic and foreign. This is especially important if we are serious about securing investments to implement the Global Logistics Hub initiative and transition Jamaica to a logistics-centered economy. The Global Logistics Hub initiative is a strategy that brings together a network of globally integrated enterprises across industries involved in commerce and logistics in one location. The logistics-centered economy of which I speak will therefore efficiently and seamlessly integrate our country's economic sectors into global value and supply chains, even as it acts as a magnet that attracts investments. It will transform the Jamaican economy to achieve sustained growth that is broad-based through involvement of the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, people, and infrastructure. In this vein, the Global Logistic Hub Initiative is a bold response to decades of low growth rates, high unemployment, and a general dissatisfaction with the socio-economic direction of the country. The logistics-centered economy can only be achieved through an enabling business environment which makes Jamaica a globally competitive location for manufacturing and business processes companies, serving the 800 million person market in the Americas. Based on our performance in the rankings of the Global Competitiveness Index, the Logistics Performance Index, and the recently published Doing Business Index 2014-2015, where we moved from 94 to 58. I am pleased to say that we are on the right path. But let us not rest on our laurels. We have much work to do as we strive to make Jamaica's business environment increasingly more competitive. The rise in indices signals business climate improvements that are key to continue moving the Global Logistics Hub initiative from concept to reality. International investors will have increased confidence, and events such as the recent groundbreaking ceremony for the Kingston Wharf's Total Logistics facility, positioned to provide over 400 permanent jobs, will soon become the norm. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the reasoning behind having an improved business environment. This, ladies and gentlemen, is beyond these global indices. Let me be clear as well that it is not the role of one ministry to make the logistics hub a reality. This initiative can only be achieved through joined-up government. The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce has laid the policy and legislative framework for an improved business environment and will continue to drive that process forward. Just this morning, we had the meeting of the National Competitiveness Council, which acts as a central coordinating force to drive the disparate and several initiatives into one focused and focal point, ensuring that these disparate activities all cohere to have impact on the growth agenda. The Security Interest in Personal Property Act and the Insolvency Act passed just yesterday, along with the Special Economic Zone Policy, which is before Cabinet, the MSME and Entrepreneurship Policy, together with the Superform and the work of the National Competitiveness Council, as well and truly laid the foundation to fulfill the vision of a prosperous logistics-centered economy. That, along with the macroeconomic adjustments that have taken place, are continuing to take place, will ensure that this comes together in a coherent strategy to deliver this objective. Indeed, we remain steadfast in our work to achieve an enabling environment in which businesses, both indigenous and foreign-owned, whether large, medium-sized, small, or micro, can be engaged in global commerce. The role of the Ministry of National Security is also integral to maintaining order and stability, which are essential in the Global Logistics Hub initiative, though not apparent at first glance. Ladies and gentlemen, having an effective national security system is critical for industry and commerce, and is also one of the principal factors that affect our ability to attract investments. Security and crime, without a doubt, occupy a central place in investment climate considerations, and it figures prominently in our Doing Business Reform agenda that is coordinated by the National Competitiveness Council. And let me hasten to add that it's not just the security aspects of it, but within the broad remit of the Ministry of National Security are some critical institutions, not least the Immigration Department and the Immigration and Citizenship Department, because it is their decision-making processes, their implementation of effective and facilitatory policies that can make a significant impact and difference as well. Other ministries across government must also contribute to the facilitation of an enabling business environment as part of their strategic focus. I'm pleased to say that in the spirit of working together, our country is making strides in the right direction, so that the Ministry of Transport and Works is striving to facilitate the development of roadways such as the North-South highways and other critical infrastructure such as the port infrastructure. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade has continued its work to effect international trade agreements that are enabling and facilitating. The Ministry of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining is leading the diversification of energy generation, including renewable energy, just to name a few. The truth is that the whole of government is needed to make the logistic hub happen and happen at the level and functioning at the level that it needs to do. Indeed, the benefit of joined-up government is that we are able to tackle challenges in a systematic manner to ensure that we all achieve success in a shorter time frame. But as in any large undertaking and enterprise, there are challenges and opportunities. At this juncture, I must emphasize that the logistics hub will bring challenges and opportunities. But in every challenge, there are opportunities. What presents an enabling business environment for the entrepreneur or investor also presents a key opportunity for the criminal-minded and the men and women of violence. Jamaica's recent improvement to a ranking of 58, the highest in the Caribbean, 6th in the region, in the Doing Business Index, is a stark reminder of that being that we are open for business. And that also means increased attractiveness for international criminal activity. Additionally, the increased international traffic that the logistics hub will bring will create more ways to exploit our country if we are not vigilant. Our quest to become the fourth node in the global trading system will also attract those wishing to make a statement to the world. At present, crime and corruption remain impediments to having an improved business environment. However, I am certain that these are challenges that we can overcome, indeed we must overcome, through concerted effort. There are no secrets to success, just the result of preparation, hard work, and a bit of luck, however defined. Today, the Global Logistics Hub Initiative provides the opportunity for further advanced strategies of national security as part of an enabling business environment. As part of the initiative, the Trade Board under the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce is leading the process of reducing the inefficiencies that exist in the import-export sector by working to establish a single electronic window. The single electronic window also integrates the ports and should integrate the port community system of the Port Authority of Jamaica, the Jamaica Customs Agency Management System, or ASICUDA World, as well as the trade facilitation systems of the various governmental authorities involved in trade. These will go a far way in enhancing trade flows and protecting the integrity of legitimate shipments. Ladies and gentlemen, this is also a chance for domestic and international security mechanisms to be strengthened, for us to work with international partners to ensure that we are ready for the challenges. The success of the Global Logistic Hub Initiative relies not only on business-friendly policies and legislations, but also on a commitment to protecting the safety and security of goods and passengers in transit and minimizing the exposure of our country to destabilizing threats. The need to improve the Jamaican business environment through improved national security policies is, therefore, the next step to propel Jamaica in an improved position for further moving the Doing Business Index. I welcome the outcome of these discussions. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Minister Hilton, for that delivery. Yes. Okay, I'm going to do a. Jamaica at a crossroads. I'm just going to give a brief synopsis of a journey towards the logistics hub. I'm going to take you to 6 stages of development, actually 5, and point you to the 6th. I'm going to skip over some slide. I can make the presentation available after. As I always start by saying, shipping is one of the oldest industries in the world next to prostitution. And prostitution is something Professor Clayton has studied very deeply in security, so he will bring that up as a national security. Put him on the spot. I take you back into the Bible. King Solomon built one of the first transshipment ports. He was so wise that kings and queens would go to him, ask him to sell them horse and chariots. He'd mark them up 500% and sell them. Let's move forward. Noah's Ark was one of the largest ocean-going vessels ever built until the late 19th century. Noah's Ark could hold 20 NBA basketball courts, 569 modern railway cars, 1.5 million cubic feet of space. Noah's Ark was a mega ship. Here's a scale model. Naval architects said that it was virtually impossible to turn over because of the length to its width ratio. And I take you back into your Bibles. You can go and read Genesis chapter 6, 14 to 16. Can I hear the praise of the Lord? All right, let's move on. All right, the first stage, Port Royal, age of piracy. You have any of these little ones at home? Open the mouths, and if you see no teeth, they are potential pirates. All right. Jamaica, because of a geostrategic location, was ideal in piracy. It was the right space to hide and steal people's business. And of course, the age of Henry Morgan. You know the history, don't have time, I'll skip through quickly. But piracy was very important. So it was a good way to wage war against Britain's enemy, primarily Spain. You make a pact with the bandits, you get half of their spoils, you take half, and of course they keep the security. It was a good business, but at that stage, Port Royal thrived. Over 600 2- and 3-story buildings condensed in a 51-acre space. A hotel room in Port Royal was 3 times as expensive as High Street London. So you can tell that it was, while Port Royal was using coins, the rest of the world was using barter system. And of course, everything thrived until 1692 when we had the earthquake, the mega center. Right, and you can see the orange line shows what disappeared under the water, roughly. So 2/3 of the city went under. That was more or less the end of Port Royal in its global stage. Then the port shifted to downtown Kingston, not far from here, going to the east. At that time, you had the finger piers. Victoria Pier, they were all there. Have you seen a little wooden structure, the piles sticking out? Let me see you hold up your hands like this, the finger piers. Madam? Thank you. You can open them. All right, thanks. You need to open them so the ships can go in. All right. So the finger piers at the time were made of wooden structure. And of course, things were fine because technology was low. That's the second stage of the finger pier. Then, of course, 1956 came the shipping container, the box that changed the world. And at that time, this was what downtown Kingston looked on a buzzing day. You had the ships in and you had the train coming in, the second oldest railway outside of the UK. We have no business to be poor, right? Poverty is in the mind. We talk too much. All right, so that was the state. That was true intermodal transport at the time. And of course, by then when a ship come in port, you had enough time that the crew could go ashore, get married, start a family and divorce before the ship sailed. Because spent 4 months in port, so the ship was there a long time. It was very good at that time to be a crew member. You get to know the world in many different forms and depth. Then, ladies and gentlemen, everything went well. This is a plan of downtown Kingston. You know, this is one of the many plans back in the 1900s. We have developed about 35 plans after this. Excellent plans. But guess what happened? Never implement none of them. So now we're going to change that. Thank you. So here are the finger piers. You see the fingers jutting out in the water? Development was at its best. Nobody perceived at that time. And of course, you can see now clearly the finger pier. All it needs are this little narrow strip of wooden berth and a good shed to store the things out of eyesight and out of the elements. And things were fine until the box that changed the world. 2 forces drive two forces that drive the global shipping industry. These are also the two forces driving the aviation industry, scale and technology. Our minister, as an aviation lawyer, can tell us a little bit more about that. But scale, economies of scale, ships get bigger. As the ships get bigger, you need more water to float them. And the rest, you put pressure on the port. You need, of course, to have the infrastructure to support it, and that's the context. And this is the stern of the world's largest container ship afloat. Can carry 863 million tins of baked beans. Can anybody eat that off in here? That would be a national security issue. So 90% of the global trade travels by sea, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to show you technology.
Push, push.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that young people born, the first thing that they do now is to born with a tendency how to take selfies. It's all about technology. It has changed the world, right? So going to hospitals, morgues, anywhere you go, you see that. So this on board one of the Virgin Atlantic flights. It's just in the cabin class. You can see, you can stay at your seat and order drink for somebody at another seat. So even if you stammer, technology can help you with the lyrics. So ladies and gentlemen, this was the next stage. You remember we talked about 6 stages we are going. I'm just showing you them. The first one is the age of piracy. Then we moved to the finger piers downtown, the ones that you ladies were afraid to spread. Then the third one is a roll and roll off. This was the first container ship that arrived Jamaica 10 years after the introduction of containers. So this was at Berth 1 at Western Terminals in 1966. This is the first container coming off the ship. You can see at that time, it was a trailer. The container was affixed to the chassis, so you had to drive it off. Then they said, okay, why not? We have this, we waste a lot of space. Why not take off the container from the chassis and let's stack the containers on top of each other like Lego toys. Everybody familiar with Lego toys? So, of course, what did that do? It placed pressure on the infrastructure. You now have to develop a new port infrastructure that you now need cranes to offload the ship. So you move to the fourth stage called lift on, lift off. Right? So you now can stack them. So instead of the sheds, the containers form their own sheds, so you require different infrastructure. And at that stage now, technology started to infuse the shipping industry. The shipping industry borrowed from the airline industry, the hub and spoke concept. When you take American Airlines, you drop in Miami, wherever you're going. That's the hub. So the hub and spoke concept that gave rise to Jamaica developing as a transshipment port. So, of course, Kingston Container Terminal was created as a specialized transshipment port. And you can see here, there's no shed on it. You notice the difference? Narrow enough to hold your stacks of containers. You can go up to 8, 9 high, depends on how you want the configuration, the equipment. And here are the specialized cranes. But since 2008, the whole concept of transshipment is now dead. Because 9 out of every 10 containers that come into Jamaica and the Caribbean have to go back empty. And all the Panama Canal is a 2-lane highway, toll road. And they're adding a 3rd lane to the toll. And the 3rd lane is going to be 3 times larger than any of the existing 2 lanes. That's all it is. So you have to pay a toll on empty boxes going through. So they said, no, don't give us any more transshipment. Let's move to a different context of a port that is now integrated into the port that's integrated into the whole, what they call value-added chain. And that is now the global logistics concept. So now, instead of a transshipment port, we're now looking for global gateway ports. This is Kingston Container Terminal. Here's the terminal. Here's the causeway. Fort Augusta, yes. See many graduates here, yes. Right, so this context now has to change. This is important and it's good, but beyond this, Minister talking and Dr. Dean's talking on other occasions about the right, about the logistics parks and the what you call special economic zones, and this will be a driver. But for this, you need the port integrated with the airport to actually drive that concept. Our airport here does not talk to the seaport. There are two separate industries. Now, logistics has now integrated them into one. So the infrastructure have to now embrace and support that. Let me just quickly show you in a paradigm shift where we know what it is like uptown and downtown. We're glad the whole is not on our side, but we're all in the same boat. And just to show you some container movement and what is happening, there's a change. Transshipment is dead, and you just watch the ranking of Kingston Container Terminal. You're going to see it falling and falling and falling. In 2012, here it was number 5. We have gone down further. And I want to show you here, Punta Aguila, a port in Nicaragua. If you insert them on Mariel, you can see where they are right now, and Mariel will soon overtake Kingston. You can see where Nicaragua has gone ahead. The Panama Canal, that third lane is still too small for where the traffic is going. 99 ships are on order that were delivered in 2015 that are too large already to go through the canal. So the Nicaraguan Canal is an excellent concept, and Prof, we can talk more about that. But it's so important. I was at a conference 2 weeks ago where they presented on the Nicaraguan Canal. Can you imagine a country like Nicaragua? It was poorer than Jamaica, and can conceive a project of 40 to 50 billion US dollars, not big enough for not too big for them. And we are fighting and scrabbling like worms over 4 or 5 billion US dollars. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time we wake up and recognize what we have in our hands. So this was from 1524. Herman Cortez said that he who owns the passage between the two oceans, the Pacific and the Atlantic, is considered to own the world. So now the Chinese are proving to us that they are going to own the world. So the Panama Canal, and above it, the Nicaraguan Canal. The Nicaraguan Canal is proposed to be a 278 kilometers canal joining two major gateway ports at the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. Can be a major game change. But whichever of them, ladies and gentlemen, is in support of Jamaica. Because what is happening, we are competing against the Suez Canal trade lane. And right now, all the major ships can access the Suez Canal. And when we started this concept 3 years ago, the U.S. East Coast ports did not do anything to their facilities. So then it was, a natural one-to-one to us. But believe it, they have now dredged their facilities. They have now expanded their facilities. They are now accommodating the mega ships. So the mega ships are going, and many ships have now diverted from the current Panama Canal route to that route. So it's a matter of competition. So we need both the Nicaragua and the Panama Canal to support our efforts of what we are doing here. This only endorses what we are doing. So I won't skip much more as the chairman. I need to keep track of time, so I'm going to just take us right to the end. And of course, the Panama Canal is a bridge, which is different. Here's the Nicaraguan Canal, just the whole concept of the two gateway ports on either side. And I'll skip over. This is a concept of the gateway port, where the actual some of the actual value-added concept actually take place within the port facility. This will now spawn other economic zone, as the minister identified in his tide policy of the numerous economic zones across Jamaica. So this is the current context of what we are competing with. Freeport Container Terminal is a transshipment port, does not have the facility to actually move to the next level. They don't have the land space. And this is Cowcedar Dunrep, just to give an idea. Here was rear high in a port. Cowcedar, the whole concept, if you can get the thousands of acres right behind the port facility, that's what the anchor companies are looking to start. So, just to show us here, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go. I'm going to show you this one about Memphis Air Hub, just to give you a concept of why Norman Manley is important, but cannot take us to where we want to go.
At the FedEx Memphis World Hub, the amount of people and equipment and packages that come together is simply phenomenal. Memphis, it is the largest cargo in the world due to FedEx's inbound and outbound poundage. Just to drive from one end to the other, Memphis World Hub complex takes about 20 minutes. So it's very large, well over 550 acres, about 179 jet aircraft gates. FedEx has the largest air cargo fleet in the world. We've got about 15 million square feet of sort space.
Let's go!
It is hard to get a grasp on the magnitude of what we do every night. There are 7,500 associates that work for the night sort, 3,500 associates for the day sort, and about 3,000 support personnel. And about 2.2 million packages a day come through the Memphis World Hub. When a package arrives at the Memphis Hub and is placed on a conveyor belt, that package is then scanned and measured by a light curtain. When the package is scanned, it will tell us tons of information. Who shipped the package? How much does the package weigh? What's the destination of the package? After that scanned package leaves the primary matrix, it'll be sorted at least 2 more times before it makes its way into an outbound container and transported to the outbound airplane for departure. I think when this company started years ago, nobody had in mind the concept would be where it is today. And it's simply mind-boggling. It's exciting every night. I mean, what's in these packages, it could be life-saving medicine for a patient. It could be a bride's wedding dress that she's anxiously awaiting. It could be somebody's mortgage payment so they don't lose their home. We've got to take care of all those customers. And we do. We do a great job.
Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest hurdle we have to overcome as a country is in the mind. The questions that we ask will have to change in a global context. Who will own this? Who will own the hub? People ask. Who owns a link in a chain? A chain suggests a flow. So when you want to own something, you're going to be an obstacle. So the context have to change our thinking. And I'll close with this one last. I'm going to skip over just in the interest of time. With this one last, just a little a simple lesson. Please, just look into it. We'll get something from it. Watch it, please.
Once upon a time, a turtle and a rabbit had an argument about who was faster. They decided to settle the argument with a race. The turtle and the rabbit both agreed on a route and started off the race. The rabbit shot ahead and ran briskly for some time. Then, seeing he was far ahead of the turtle, he thought he'd sit under a tree for some time and relax before continuing the race. He sat under the tree and soon fell asleep. The turtle, plodding on, overtook him and soon finished the race, emerging as the undisputed champ. The rabbit woke up and realized that he'd lost the race. The moral of the story is that slow and steady wins the race. This is the version of the story that we've all grown up with. But our version of the story continues. The rabbit was disappointed at losing the race, and he did some thinking. He realized that he'd lost the race only because he had been overconfident, careless, and lax. If he had not taken things for granted, there's no way the turtle could have beaten him. So, he challenged the turtle to another race. The turtle agreed. This time, the rabbit went all out and ran without stopping from start to finish. He won by several miles. The moral of the story? Fast and consistent will always beat the slow and steady. It's good to be slow and steady, but it's better to be fast and reliable. But the story doesn't end here. The turtle did some thinking this time and realized that there's no way he can beat the rabbit in a race the way it was currently formatted. He thought for a while and then challenged the rabbit to another race, but on a slightly different route. The rabbit agreed. The turtle and rabbit started off. In keeping with his self-made commitment to be consistently fast, the rabbit took off and ran at top speed until he came to a broad river. The finishing line was a couple of kilometers on the other side of the river. The rabbit sat there, wondering what to do. In the meantime, the turtle trundled along, got into the river, swam to the opposite bank, continued walking, and finished the race. The moral of the story? First, identify your core competency, and then change the playing field to suit your core competency. The story still hasn't ended. The turtle and rabbit by this time had become pretty good friends, and they did some thinking together. Both realized that the last race could have been run much better. So the turtle and rabbit decided to do the last race again, but to run as a team this time. They started off, and this time the rabbit carried the turtle till the riverbank. There, the turtle took over and swam across with the rabbit on his back. On the opposite bank, the rabbit again carried the turtle, and they reached the finishing line together. Both the turtle and rabbit felt a greater sense of satisfaction than they'd felt earlier. The moral of the story? It's good to be individually brilliant and to have strong core competencies. But unless you're able to work in a team and harness each other's core competencies, you'll always perform below par, because there will always be situations at which you'll do poorly and someone else does well. Teamwork is mainly about situational leadership, letting the person with the relevant core competency for a situation take leadership. And that is the end of the story.
Thank you very much. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, I invite Dr. Eric Deans, Chairman of the Logistics Sub Task Force, to now do his presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I trust you had a good lunch, and I'm sure that ethnic fatigue is setting in. But it's difficult following a presentation of the Minister and Fritz. They are a tough act to follow. But I just wanted to put in perspective events of the last 2 days, and in particular, Dr. Pinnock's presentation. You had a tour of our existing port facilities yesterday, most of you, and others probably would have seen it before. So you see where we are today. Dr. Pinnock took you from the past and showed you, what it is we intend to do. Well, today you're lucky. You're going to have a premiere of a video that we've prepared for the Logistics Hub, which is an animation done by a local Jamaican architect, which shows where we're taking this Jamaica Logistics Hub. This shows the That, ladies and gentlemen, is a glimpse of the future. Now, where the minister mentioned, we're in a globalized world. Jamaica cannot afford to stand still. For us to grow as a country, recognizing that we have had 4 decades of the lowest growth in the world, we have to do something different. We have to do something radical. And we have to do it together, as Dr. Pinnock indicated. But as world trade grows, as we take advantage of these opportunities of our strategic position, it makes us more vulnerable to security issues. And we heard that throughout the discussions today. And I agree with the morning's panelists. We need to take into account, the security considerations in these planning. We have to take into account the requirements for fire for all the services that will be needed. And in this regard, part of the process that we are just about to issue a RFP through the World Bank for a master plan for this entire logistics hub initiative. And that master plan will look at how everything is integrated. How do you link the airport with the seaport? How does a dry dock link with the special economic zones? How do you create urban areas to support these developments? Because these cannot be enclave developments. You have to look at the whole